County, do you want to finish up?
My name is Patty Reed. I'm from the Wind River Reservation. And we are home to the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Asphalt tribes. We accept anyone at our building. I'm currently functioning as an intern administrator in HR and any other jobs that.
Haven't you been doing that for a while?
I've been there as HR for quite a while, and I just kind of keep jumping in the administrative stuff whenever anybody comes and goes. We actually have probably more Northern Arapaho residents than we do Eastern Shoshone, but we are owned by the Eastern Shoshone tribe, so that is our focus. We are trying to put marketing on a lot of cultural things, and our goal is just to make the as best we can. So we're heading on the way out. I want to thank Debbie and Melissa and Joseph and Lisa, you guys that keep carrying this group. I think it's very important. And so when we have busy days and can't always join you, I really, really appreciate your efforts in this. I really think it's worthwhile.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the call. You have actually made quite a few calls. Good job. Okay, Liz, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Liz Lee. I'm from Alaska and Eskimo. I'm a registered nurse, director of nursing, working with Gerald, operating an 18-bed facility. I'm super proud that we were able to build a quality facility that our people can.
My name is
Liz is actually our speaker tonight, our main speaker.
Would she forward the remainder of her time to me? Is that? My name is Gerald Hodges. I'm the administrator at the Yukon-Kuskokwim Elders Home. I've been there for nearly 3 years. To me, it's been quite a fascinating journey being up there, seeing how it's really evolved. The building opened in October of 13, and you'll see the presentation. It's just a gorgeous building. But as the community had worked for so many years to get it going, we're kind of what happens when everything kind of works right, and you get to build the building. One of the areas that we're looking forward to in this conference is just pure gold for us, is seeing now how to get the nursing home outside the nursing home and to kind of rebuild a lot of the home and community-based services, because there's still a lot of need. We were kind of talking about that earlier, about how 4 or 5 years ago we were sending dozens of people a year out of our community, often 400 or 500 miles away to Anchorage or in the Seward. And now we're kind of to that point again, because we've been full and we don't have a lot of turnover in there, and so we still struggle with that. And I see this home and community-based service as a wonderful addition to what we're able to do, and we need to get in that direction. Like I say, a beautiful home. I do appreciate the opportunity to come today. Thank you.
Awesome. This is your second year, because you were here last year.
That is correct.
Awesome. Very good.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Lee Olitsky. First, I want to share with you that I want to take credit because I hired Debbie many years ago. And obviously, sometimes you make the right decisions, other times you make the wrong decisions. In this case, it's very much a right decision. At the time, I was the administrator of the Archie Hendricks Senior Skilled Nursing Facility that's operated by the Tohono tribe in southwest Arizona. I worked with them for about 10 years, and over that 10-year period, we got their nursing home up and operating and moved it from a nursing facility to a skilled nursing facility, providing services that were oriented to what we saw were the primary needs of the population or the residents or the tribal members. One area in particular, unfortunately, as many of you know, there's a high degree of diabetes, heart disease, and peripheral vascular disease. So what we identified through both observation and data was about 80% of the admissions were wound care related. So with support of Debbie doing training and some third-party organizations, we trained the staff to become very effective in their wound care provision. And I don't know, since I've left, I don't know if it continued, but the goal in part was to take that and move it into an outpatient setting as well, which we received the Medicare outpatient certification before I left. then kind of stepping back a little bit, I've been working with tribes probably for about 15 years. In the earlier years, it was very modest areas, helping them sometimes organize grants and agreements to get funding for services. One concept that I'd like to share with organizations and individuals who have nursing homes is sometimes, and bear with my kind of, I don't know what to call it, kind of dry language for this part, but nursing homes, not looking at the care component, right, the important part of the care. Nursing homes are basically a platform. And some of you are doing meals from, which is very, not atypical. Comments is, Laguna still produce meals for home. So many organizations do that. But what's possible is what you were beginning to allude to is, you know, if you think and you step back and say, what kinds of expertise and skills and resources do we have under one or two or whatever number of roofs you might have, and what can we do in the way of providing community-based care using the resources of the nursing facility? Not that you can afford to pay for those services. That's part of the conversation about home and community-based services and how you might fund it. But to begin thinking about the resources that you have under one roof. We did one project, as an example. It was a small grant from one of the insurance companies, like Metropolitan Life or something. And it was, if I can take a real quick second, it was really interesting that they sent out a request for proposals, and they sent you, with that request for proposals, a series of successful projects they have had, and said that the funding would be for you to replicate one of those projects in your environment. So what we selected was a project where it was sort of a telephone-based support group and educational program for tribal members in their own homes, where they could dial in and subsequently listen to the conversation. So at that time, our nurse practitioner and a couple other tribal members put together some programs on nutrition, you know, a few subjects that individuals in the tribe thought would be relevant. So they set up this mechanism, and they were able to conduct this over the course of a year with the community members not having to leave their homes, you know. And we didn't get far enough because of the funding to determine what if you didn't have a phone, what do we do? But a reasonably large number of people participated in the support and in the calling, and we can tell because of the way the technology works. So many people call to listen to the recorded conversations or recorded information. So that's just an example of really quite easy when using the resources of the nursing home. In this case, they had a phone system, pretty elementary. We did another one, again, another grant, and there are a lot of organizations who really are offering funding for both tribes or the kinds of things tribes do, supporting either low-income individuals, elders, sometimes setting up, which is this example. It's sort of like an oral history project, and we did another oral history project, except that the idea behind this was that the younger people went to the individual elders' homes with proper, all the things you would need to do before you enter someone's home and the relationships and making sure everything is in place. But they went into the elder's home, and it was sort of a socialization program as well as oral history. And they went into the elder's home with the appropriate things being in place and discussed what their lives were like when they were younger, and recorded them, documented them, and we were able to put together materials that we then subsequently sent to the Tribal Cultural Center. So they have both audio and visual portions of history, since historically it was oral tradition, not written tradition. So there's a variety of those kinds of things that one could do. Then when you get into hard services, the first one we looked at, it was outpatient therapy. We were fortunate that we had on-site a PT and OT. So their time was being used, but we felt that we could squeeze a little bit more in a nice way out of them. So we began providing outpatient services so that rather than having to necessarily go to at this time, it was before they 6:30 at the hospital. The tribe has the hospital and a couple of clinics, and they're geographically well placed, but they're not perfect because the Tohono Nation is a huge landmass. And so we, pardon?
That's the largest one.
Yeah. Right, size of connection.
Yeah.
And so for some of that to travel long distances, this worked out very nicely. And the other thing we would do is we would have the OT and PT go to people's homes. And those were all billable services. So we were able to bill Medicare and Medicaid and couple times we would have a person who was a former tribal employee who had health insurance, private health insurance. So I can go on and on, but those are some of the kinds of programs. Personally, I've been in the field of elder care since roughly the late 80s and did a whole bunch of things, but all in the care side of things. And part of my sort of personal mission was to take the things that I've learned and been able to do with different groups of people and provide them to American Indians, because I feel like I have a personal, sort of a moral obligation. Plus, I enjoy it. And so I do things both for income because you have to earn a living, but I also try to do a lot of things as a volunteer. So hopefully with Debbie, I'll be helping her volunteer to help her to keep this organization going.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Very good.
I'm Bruce Fink with the Indian Health Service, and I'm really for the last 20 years or so, I've been the kind of policy and clinical lead around elder care and elder service. So that's all the introduction I'll do.
Okay, that's fine. You'll have a few minutes to speak here in a minute. Anyway, Shelley?
Yeah, my name is Shelley Zylstra, and I'm Aging Services Program Specialist with the Administration for Community Living. I oversee the states of Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, and all the Title VI grantees in that area. So that's plenty.
Well, I'd like to say something about Shelley, because when I first called her, there was a lot I didn't know. And she was very patient with me. And she sent me all these PowerPoints on traditional foods, and it kind of helped me in my mind put together some of the pieces. Because it's very, when you come into something, I've been a nurse for many years, I've worked with elders, but this whole, ACL and IHS, and how does this all fit together? And so Shelley was really very patient with me on the phone.
Thank you, David.
Good evening, everyone. I am Jonathan Collins. I'm a project manager at Kaufman & Associates. We are a Native woman-owned consultancy. I'm actually very new to the collaborative. Many of you might have worked with my colleague, Julie Cahoon. So I am learning from her. I've recently taken over a lot of responsibilities under our CMS contract. So I'm definitely eager to learn more about the collaborative. I'm here tonight to talk to you about that we've done for the collaborative with CMS. And I'd just like to say that I'm honored to be in a room with so many great minds that are doing great work in the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Excellent. So give all yourself that round of applause. Lori, I was thinking you had already go ahead. Lori.
Mga magsoyak at may kami na ang ngayong Alan Johnson Jr. at si Sarah Jack or JC and Louis Jack, Teresa Norbert, Alan Johnson Sr., Lou Assi, Agnes Fernandez, hello everyone, my exact name is Maxwell. My other name that people know me by is Melissa Hudson. I was born in Nome, Alaska. My parents are Alan Johnson Jr. and Sarah Jack. My grandparents, I have 3 sets of grandparents. So I have Daisy and Louis Jack, who adopted my mother. My paternal grandparents are Teresa Norbert and Alan Johnson Sr. And then my mom's biological parents are Edna Fernandez and Raymond Lamona. I work at the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. I've been there, like I said, almost 15 years. My current role for almost a year. So what I do is I get a lot of the Alaska folks on different phone calls or different, I find out what's going on within their communities and support many of their efforts that they are doing. So, for instance, this coming Wednesday, I'm going to participate with the interior region of Alaska and collaborating ways for elder housing. I'm also part of this collaborative. It was, like I said, gifted, some pay, as well as many other projects. I also work with, collaborate with the state of Alaska on different efforts that they're doing. So we have a strong working relationship. So the state of Alaska, they focus on all seniors, that's what they call them. But in our capacity, we call those people, they call seniors, we call them elders. And so we find out what is the state offering on their plate and what can we take away and serve our tribal elders. And so it's anything from legislative session and advocating, at the legislative level to Medicaid reform to conferences like this. And just like I said, like if there's an initiative going on within a community about building an assisted living home or a nursing home, how can ANTHC support those efforts? So my job is pretty much statewide throughout the state of Alaska, and it's not just focused in Anchorage where the consortium is based. I do site visits I've done site visits to the nursing homes, the assisted living homes in our state, and worked closely with Belle and incorporated Gerald and Liz in this collaborative because they're the third, so for my PhD, they're the third tribal nursing home in Alaska. What did you say, Lisa, 18 nursing. So out of the 18 nursing homes in Alaska, only 3 of them are tribal. So where do our tribal elders go? They go to these non-tribal nursing homes. Well, how do they get part of their culture? So my coworker, Pam O'Brien, she's actually 2 weeks new into her position, but we reach out to the different nursing homes, and we provide traditional Native food luncheons once a month at one facility and once a quarter at another. And then twice a year, we drive down to Seward, which is like a 2.5-hour drive for us. So we bring anything from salmon to carrying eggs to berries to, anything Alaska Native you can think of, we do it as an activity. And we made sure we, double checked with Manilik and said, how can we do this? How can we serve our elders? So we do it as an activity. If we do have to work with our non-tribal nursing home staff in providing these luncheons, so like the dietary team, they may purchase salmon fillets, the bread dough from a local pizza company, or they frozen bread, and so that's how we make fry bread on a non-traditional level. And then we do have the okay to bring in our tundra berries. So, but anything else, like we just find creative ways to serve our elders. And we also incorporate Native dance occasionally, into these homes. And then for Anchorage, we serve we have 250 assisted living homes just for Anchorage, and we work with our assisted living home licensing staff to find out how can we serve those elders that reside in these assisted living facilities. So for us, it could be anywhere from a 3 to 5 bedroom house that someone owns, and they have to be caregivers. So we find out how can we bring culture to those homes? How can we educate our non-tribal partners in serving our elders? So that's a little bit about what I do. I'm excited to be here. It's my 2nd year. I really didn't know what was going on last year. So like I said, it was, it's a new learning opportunity. I'm up for learning many new things to serve our elders, and one of the main reasons why, is the values that were instilled by my grandparents is very important to continue and pass on to younger folks. But what kind of services do I want available when it's my turn to be an elder? So advocating for the best now, and how can we continue to achieve that for future generations, because we're just going to continue to age. So thank you, and like I said earlier, if you haven't gotten your little taste of jelly, make sure you take one on your way back to your room. If you don't want to eat it, share it as a Christmas gift. Or Thanksgiving, you know, just bring it to the table and eat it with your biscuits. Thank you. Okay, now we go.
Everyone did a great job. So we're doing well. It's about what time is that? 7:20 or something like that, 24. So I'm gonna the next on the agenda was gonna be Cynthia and Lee and Bruce, just a few words on kind of from their perspective in their current role, how they see, you know, tribal nursing homes kind of doing, kind of moving into. We're gonna say a few words on that, and then we'll let Liz, you might want to come up here and just prepare. I'd like to start our business meeting maybe by like 10 till 8, I think.
Well, I can start. I won't take very much time though. You know, I think because I've done a lot of talking already today, and I just probably repeat myself and say that I think that, you know, clearly the energy and the focus around long-term services and supports has been and continues to be and will be at the tribal level. And that, you know, the decision about what services sort of are developed first is a challenging one. That's a mix of kind of what do the elders need, what are the resources we've got, what's the political will, you know, and where do we go from here? And you know, we've heard Francis Stout speak eloquently about the fact that at the Autumn Nation they started with Archie Hendricks, and then they built out to the community. Other sites, other tribes start with the community and then sort of build inward towards facility. And you know, that's a decision communities make, and it's a complicated one. I think what is most exciting to me about this group, about U.N.I.T.E, is that it is a tribal group working together to figure out, to help each other sort of develop these services. And I think that's the future, right? It's not, I mean, I think, so I think you're onto something really important here, and that can carry you all into the future. And I think, you know, we've been able to pull together sort of long-term services and supports meetings every 3 or 4 years over the last 15 years or so, or 16, 17 years. But every time it feels like a miracle, you know, to do that. And I think that, you know, Standing Rock has been inspirational to many people. And I think one of the things that's really interesting about Standing Rock is that this started under the radar quietly as the tribes gathered together, first the local tribes, but then tribes from all over the country, and in fact all over the Americas, right, sort of coming together. And I think that's sort of what U.N.I.T.E is like a little bit too, right? It's you guys starting to come together and sort of say, let's build towards better long-term services and supports. That's not to take away from the federal role. We have a job to do for you and a responsibility to you to support you in this work. And so that won't go away. And that obligation is there, and we need you to insist on that we meet that obligation still. You know, there's the famous phrase from a group was lobbying President Roosevelt on an issue that he felt very strongly about, that he supported 100%. And at the end of the lobbying visit, he said to them, I totally agree with you. Now go out and make me do it. And what he was saying, of course, is that that really the government is responsive and needs to be responsive. So there's an important role for advocacy. Those of us in the agencies know our obligations to you all and to the tribes, but we also need you all to tell us what to do and how to meet those obligations. So be vocal, be loud, be insistent. When I first started working in long-term services in elder care, I thought I was just a clinician and I was going to do clinical stuff. But the issue on the table for the tribes at the time was long-term services and supports. And it was a time, and many of you remember, and I know you remember, when, and I'll put this in quotes, the IHS didn't do long-term care, right? That was the way it was framed. Of course, that wasn't right. That wasn't true. And one of the first, and I was sort of instructed when I first took a role for IHS is to, essentially to be responsive to this demand from the tribes that the IHS needs to figure out a way within existing authorities to support long-term services and support. And I think we were able to do that. And now we have new authorities through the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act that aren't funded.
The favorite kind of government.
Right. So again, I sort of come back to that. I think what you're doing here is really important, and it's the only way to bring services to long-term services and supports to these communities, to your communities. And we want to support you. And please, make us support you. Tell us what to do. Advocate, be loud, and help us know what we need to do to help you.
And actually, that's a good segue, because Bruce and I were talking earlier about that. In order for an organization like U.N.I.T.E to continue, it really needs to move away from the federal agencies or even state agencies stimulating it. That's not the right choice of words. They don't want to move away from supporting it, but they're not going to be able to carry the ball forward. So I think that one of the objectives of the group, not necessarily this evening, but over time, Debbie's still with us, is to think about how this can be perpetuated candidly, without necessarily IHS or DHHS necessarily being the convener of the meeting. Because over time, whether Bruce is there or not, or someone else is there, it's going to have to probably move into the private sector with the tribes moving forward with the organization. And earlier, when we were going around the table, I mentioned supporting it through grants or whatever. I told Debbie that she and I can put our heads together and start looking for maybe some additional seed money that would permit it to move forward. I don't want to be unduly optimistic, but I think that given the mission and nature of both the individual organizations and tribes and this group, I think there's a lot of organizations that support these kinds of things that would be very supportive of this kind of effort. So I think that's real important. My individual individual observation is whether it's a nursing facility or other kinds of long-term services and supports, is a matter of staff and training. Debbie can tell you that she was hired by the Tohono after I lobbied the entity that oversees it and the tribal council to provide an educator, explaining that if we don't have that person on staff, the organization will move, but it'll move very slowly, and we won't be able to provide the services that they have expectations for. So we put together a pretty comprehensive training and education program, which Debbie's been executing remarkably well. But in terms of developing community-based services, the challenge that many of the tribes I work with is that they don't have tribal members who can carry out the services. And there's the level of service which can be the informal caregiver, which is it's good to have them trained to some extent, but moving a little past that, the volume of caregivers and trained individuals that's going to be needed in the next several years is going to be very large. I understood that the elder population amongst American Indians is going to almost double. And so if you think about it, how hard it is to find staff for positions, you can only imagine if you double that. So, and part of that comes from my background in training, which there's a little part of my life that was at the university where we did training and education for different types of service providers. So those tribes that have community colleges or other kinds of educational resources, I would say that if I were in your community and running the nursing facility, I would be talking with those folks about today's service needs and tomorrow's service needs. Because it's, everybody would like to have tribal members take care of their own tribal members. And it's very difficult if there's not a pool of individuals. And the challenge in some cases is that you may be able to fill the position today, but there's no one behind it. So there's a small pool, and sometimes it's very shallow. And there's also sometimes effort that has to be made to get people prepared for the education. So Debbie and I put together, remember we put together a Department of Labor grant, but I think one of the public colleges received the funding. But our plan was to have tribal members sort of evaluated by the community college for their basic skills. And if they were not up to speed, they would go through a little remedial program at the community college and come into the training and education program we were putting together for nurses' aides and some other positions. We didn't think we had much of a chance, but the concept was very valid. And we saw that as a real priority. And because of that, the emphasis on education, the nursing facility, the assisted living facility, the hospice, were all able to provide services with predominantly, if not entirely, tribal members. So, for example, in our area that I'm describing now, it's reasonably isolated, nothing like where you are in terms of distances. But the services are co-located about 2 hours from most of the metropolitan areas. So it's difficult to get staff, and there's housing issues. So some of the younger tribal members who might want to fill the positions, they couldn't do it because there was no place for them to live, so we had housing built. So it's a domino effect. I'm going off on a tangent, but the educational component, I think, is a really critical element.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, I am taking a few notes, so even though the call is being recorded and I'll get a transcript, I'm still just jotting a few notes, so don't mind me. Okay, so Liz Lee is our main speaker tonight, and Liz, I'll let you do that. It's about 7:35 right now, so maybe you could finish up by 8 so we have time. Now, you might need to Gerald move that over a little.
I'm going to do the alert too.
Through tears and the occasional tissue, Julie explained how her mother battled memory loss over years. Her mother required more help than she was able to provide, and often needed assistance throughout the night. One evening, as her mother drifted in and out of herself, the teenage granddaughter heard Grandma praying about how she didn't want to place the burden on anyone. Yet the family wanted to keep Grandma in their home, as they did for their grandfather, because his wife refused to send him 400 miles away. A fall at the home made it apparent to the family that the move to the nursing home was the right decision. Josephine was the first resident at the Y.T. Elders Home. Good evening. My name is Alisa. I am from Bethel. My English name is Elizabeth Lee. I am a registered nurse, director of nursing. I have been in the field for, 16 plus years with Y.T.E, our healthcare organization, for 20 years or so. I met Gerald, months ago? A little bit longer. Was introduced back into the field of geriatrics, which is my passion. And I tell everybody that my expertise is home and community-based. I operated chore respite, waiver, grant, and E.N.I.T.E programs for many years. And I'd like Gerald to introduce himself. I've asked Gerald to join and provide a different perspective that I often don't think about, because I grew up in Bethel. What seems normal to me isn't always normal. will provide a great perspective on, what I'm trying to say. And, we're gonna share a story to tell you the importance of tribal nursing.
Like you said, my name is Gerald Hodges. I've been a nurse corps administrator, I guess, for about 25 years. Moved around quite a bit. From, I grew up in Minnesota, southwest Minnesota, and slowly worked my way through Nebraska, down into New Mexico and Arizona, and decided that I just am not a hot person and don't care for it down there. So I ended up back in the Duluth, Superior area, and ultimately in December of 2013, ended up in Bethel. And the connection that I had with Bethel is I had a sister that had been up there for quite a few years, and I'd gone up there a couple of times and kind of joked about she needs to build a nursing home, and I'd come up and help her. Well, I did have that opportunity, and I said, be there till spring, because it won't be that long, and that was, like I said, almost 3 years ago. So I do have a little bit of a different perspective because I have that long-term care experience. As we put this nursing home together, and the challenge that all of you will face is having people who've done long-term care before because of CMS, because of the regulations, and to be able to understand that in spite of the regulations, you have to give good care because surveyors show up once a year. Families better be there every day. And you have to be able to get that care and balance that rules and that training, and sometimes it's counterintuitive. And it seems like your training will keep you from doing good care. But maybe the native food's probably the first thing that used to be such a fight. Thank goodness that's pretty much it. Continue.
Okay. So as I said, I've been Bethel, and I have to go back to my roots. My father's from Chivak, Alaska. My mother's from U.N.I.T.E, my grandparents are from East. And so it's a little bit, you'll see in the map that it's a little bit of a spread. We work for U.N.I.T.E. It's a healthcare organization providing services to 58 federally recognized tribes. Of the tribes, there's about 50 inhabited villages that we serve. Our service area is the size of Oregon, about 75,000 square miles, population is about 25,000. You'll see that Bethel is the hub of all of these villages. Some villages just 10 miles away, and other villages as far as 150 miles away.
And to me, when I first came up to this region, I didn't fully understand as we worked hard to get certified, and then as we started doing admission. But to literally have to fly somebody up Vimane, Mulucana, all the way in, some people from Stony River, and you're using, it's not just as simple as say, please bring your mom in next week, I think we have room. And to get them in, hopefully the weather doesn't delay it, There's just a lot of things I've never really experienced before in this big area. There's not a single road that connects any of that. And so you're either flying, wintertime you can run up and down the rivers to a point, you can go up the Cuscoquid River, but you really can't get up on the Yukon without flying. And so it's just a really logistics issue.
I'll add a caveat. You can get to the Yukon by snow machine. It's about a 4-hour ride. Or Johnson. So this is an example of one of our villages on the Yukon, very lush. And in contrast, here's another one of our villages on the Delta. And so we serve different regions and have different aspects to, or different kinds of, I don't want to say kinds of people, but they have different experiences depending on which village they're from.
It is quite against us, and it's a little bit like Ballard said. Bethel itself is in the Yukon Delta area, and it's very flat. A few trees, but mostly just this tundra and potholes. And if you ever fly in and out of it, you can understand why there isn't any roads. It'd be virtually impossible. You not only have to build through the Alaska Range, which is the tail, the Aleutian Islands, but you'd have to go over probably 300 miles of a very, very dense swamp. Essentially frozen swamp a lot of time. So it is unique to see. The other part that is important is let's say more the interior people, those villages up the river, have a little bit different diet than the Athabascans and stuff. There's a little bit different tribes area up there, as opposed to the coastal people who do more of the sea mammals and different types of fish. And it really is kind of a melting pot.
We have a mission to work together to achieve excellent health. With a White Elders Home vision of striving to become a home of the community, where the traditions, values, and culture of the region meet with medicine to provide the best possible care. And Gerald wanted me to emphasize that what you see in this visual is some dried salmon that's being dried to eat for the winter. Yeah.
I don't want to disappoint, but I had them today. That's actually the color.
Oh, thank you. We have our list of values of services. Where travel is a challenge, and so across our service area of Oregon, or the like Oregon, you can only fly in out. In the villages, your main mode of transportation is snow machine or four-wheelers, and then on the river by boat. We operate out of a 4-tiered health system, so a lot of our residents come from the villages where their health service is out of a village clinic. Services being provided by certified health aides. If you need an NP or that level of service, you're going to go to our sub-regional clinic. We have 5 sub-regional clinics. If you need a doctor and even more higher level of care, we've got a regional hospital in Bethel, where we have an inpatient unit, OB, X-ray services. And then if you need even higher level of care, then we've got the Alaska Native Medical Center and Seattle for major things.
And to me, this is one of the more unique parts of the healthcare system. The village clinics, and that's a beautiful example of one of the newer ones. They're not all that nice, but they're ran basically with in the tradition of a military medic. The person who's there is not a licensed nurse or anything, but they've been trained extensively, and they're under the direct supervision of a physician. And so what they're often is they'll give shots, they'll pass medication out. The other part that to me is that's your Walgreens. That's anything to do with healthcare. They have not every village has a store, and so if you need something as simple as some Tylenol, you're going to go there. So logistically, trying to keep them all stocked is interesting. The sub-regional clinics, again, that's probably the level. You have a mid-level provider in there. Most of them, there's a few MDs out in the region, but that's what you kind of see in a urgent care center here in the lower 48. You know, you probably wouldn't have a doctor, the medic kind of found something wrong and didn't need to get checked out. You probably have an X-ray there, but nothing any more complicated than that. If it's more complicated than that, then you come to the regional hospital. And they do have a very kind of complex lab, because you can imagine all the lab work runs through there. They've got an MRI. They can do a lot of stuff, but they don't really have a surgeon. They have a surgery room for kind of emergency rooms. And truthfully, they're more inpatient room. First time I was there, it's like, this is a skilled part of the nursing home unit. Looks like a skilled unit, because they're mostly elders that are in there, people that are stable. Quite a few kids come through there, but again, if those children need more care, then they're shipped into the ANMC, which is the tribal hospital there. And truthfully, oftentimes, if it's really kind of complex, something that you would need, let's say, if you're in the Minnesota area, something that you'd want to get either in Duluth or Minneapolis to be treated, you're shipped down to Seattle. And so you can imagine something as simple as your kid breaking his arm.
And you're flying in a plane. So you're going from the village clinic in a 6-seater to a sub-regional clinic who decides, you know, that you're above and beyond what they can provide. You're put in another plane and you're flown to Bethel. Anesthesia and surgery. I never asked that question. There's a regional clinic. There's regional hospital. We do for colonoscopies and emergency surgery. Okay. We don't do melody or any of that kind of stuff. We have a OB department, all natural. Like no. No.
Maybe it's a cycle for that. And then there's just like saying OB, they have a prematernal building where the women in their last 4 weeks of pregnancy come in, because you don't want to supply a pregnant woman, because you probably can't. These coastal towns get weathered in for 2 or 3 days at a time, which isn't as convenient for medical care. So we have that, and that's really kind of a unique system. But again, it brings those people in, so they're not trying to solve those preterm deliveries out in the village.
We're serving mostly U.N.I.T.E, Yupik, and Athabascan people. 49% of the population is under 18, and about 7% is over 65. Those numbers are a little skewed. I couldn't find exact percentages from the census, so I used A&M usage reports. Basically, the gist of those numbers is we have a high number of pediatrics and a fast-growing population of seniors. About $11,000 per capita income, and unemployment rate of about 25%.
And just unemployment.
When you're finished, do you want to share what that is? When you're finished.
Well, the unemployment rate, in these villages and stuff, there's a lot of, the tradition is still subsistence. I guess there is a lot of the people aren't really looking for jobs because their job is to collect enough food to make it through the winter. And so it's not so much, if I have a bad fishing trip, oh well. No, if you have a bad fishing season, you're probably going to get hungry. And that is still the lifestyle because there isn't really an option. I know one tragedy that happened, and I won't go too long, but a community lost electricity. There's no electrical wires connect some of these villages either. They don't have to have no generator. And had a fire or something around that one, and so they lost electricity for a couple weeks. It was in the late summer.
There goes your food in your freezer.
And so the community came together, and other tribes or other villages came together and donated stuff back because you really, that's all they can do. They do work together. That's still a very strong, all part of this tradition of working together.
And these are standards that we use in our Eskimo ice cream, which we call it, and more modern Indian.
Things get distorted, salmon berries.
When you get your dessert, if you look at your raspberry, it's like the orange version of this, but not as long. And they grow on the
cloudberry.
Yeah, they grow on the tundra.
It's not from the it's but it's old. I've never developed it, but they have a blueberry, and the blueberry is not really like it's a different type of a berry than what you get around here. But it's instantly blueberry. It's like it's a cranberry, it's not a traditional cranberry like grows in.
It's very kind of technically cranberry. They roll away the ground.
Yes.
Your head all day. Basically, I take my family and we head out for the weekend. Usually we leave on a Thursday night or Friday night. We take the whole day, and we about 20 gallons. I've got a family of 4. So I expect my husband and I to shoot about 7 each. My kids, I expect them to pick about 3 or 4. And then that'll last us through the winter for our family, but as well as for special occasions and shared family. So we're a region rich in native culture. We're very connected to the land, as Gerald said. So we have the rivers. We've got the 2 rivers, the Yukon and the Kuskokwim. And we're sustained by our salmon, and so that's what we live for. Up in the top is how we make some of our dried salmon, smoked salmon that we eat. And then these are some wild eggs that have been collected from wild birds.
From wild birds? How big are those eggs?
About this big. I don't know how big.
It's a goose egg. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah, I've seen those eggs.
Coming up there. First of all, I don't see how hanging the fish that way. It's 35 degrees out and kind of cool. I don't know how that stuff dries out, but it dries out and then stays all winter.
Oh, yeah, they
And then they make some of that too. And then the fishing too. It's again that has to happen. You have to fix your food supply.
And we do this no matter the cost. So a walk-up rate to Anchorage, which is 400 miles away, takes about an hour. Trip is $500. And when you're flying from the village to Bethel, that's another $300. Gasoline is $5.02 a gallon, and more, upwards of $8 or more in the villages. Our grocery prices are 60% more than Anchorage. So when you compare that, a gallon of milk is about $9. 40 gigabytes of internet, if you have it, is $165 a month. and piped water is $251 a month.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and, we're glad the gas prices are down almost 2 cents a gallon. It was nearly $8, when I came in December. And that's kind of shocking, but again, where else are you gonna buy gas? But again, it's just unbelievable high. The metered internet has really kind of changed, you know, everybody streaming videos and stuff like that. And you hear stories of the people come up from Lower 48 not quite understanding how that works. $500-600 internet bill, not unknown. For the first time, then I figured it out. Part of it is the sewer and the water, and like Bethel's, about a third of the houses are on the piped water. The rest is all on a haul. You haul in the water and haul out. And that happens usually once.
Is there a fee for hauling in the water?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course.
And if you run out of water, you know, you're out of luck. It's, wait till you're due to come again.
Or if you're some other people, you're gonna resort to rainwater and ice water, which a lot of the villages don't have running water, and that's what they're using. Do you guys fly in very much food then for your residents?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty much everything comes into, you know, air cargo, and again, another logistical problem. You know, if something gets screwed up, or every once in a while it's too foggy or some ice and something that, normally they can land jets in Bethel pretty much all the time, but they'll wave them off every once in a while. But that just logistical change, sometimes they have to come up from Seattle to Anchorage to Bethel, and things happen.
I just got a picture of all the residents watching, you know, playing, you wave off, they're like, oh!
That's what you hear. Oh, because Anchorage is such a big city to them. Bethel is bigger. And so it's a foreign environment. And so they just want to go back to something that they know.
And so did I got volcano in. I don't know how well you watch the news, but we had a volcano in Aleutian Island, and it shut everything down. And I thought, well, we were in Anchorage for an extra 3 days, but it shut off all our medevacs. There's nobody would fly because they couldn't get laptops or no military flying in the air. And it's just occurred, and there was no way of doing it. And those things like that happen. And to me, it's amazing how tolerant people are. You know, there was a couple pediatric kids that they wanted to fly out. There was no medevac. And the family you just had to wait because you just can't get them. And nobody knew when. It had to, as a parent, it had to be done.
So, our U.N.I.T.E Elders Home was a project that started in November 2001, and I'm very, very proud to say that I was involved in the initial grassroots effort, which gained regional support. We were able to incorporate a market study that documented the need. We looked at all kinds of options, assisted living homes. We looked at if we could develop an assisted living home. We looked at the different models, the greenhouse model, the Eden model, and what we found were those models though were very nice, mimicked what we did already. And so we opted not to jump into those models, rather use our method of providing care and not have to be tied to any certain plan. We were able to obtain capital funding, $16.3 million for an 18-bed facility. And what was really important was elder involvement. They were there for me as my mentors and champions, and they gave me credibility. I was younger, and I was considered young, and so when I was rallying people to keep this movement going, I had to have some elders with me that would legitimize my role in the movement that we were in. So the design process incorporated a lot of involvement from our seniors. We thought that the building should be more compact because the elders were used to small spaces. We needed a community room for gathering and activities. We debated about 1 room, 2 bedrooms. The trend at the time was everybody needed to be in a 1-bedroom, but we knew that our elders, and they said that they were from big families and multi-generation units, that if you move them from where they came from to a one-bedroom, that could cause loneliness and isolation. So to meet that need, our facility, as you'll see, is mostly one bedroom, and we incorporated a couple of two bedrooms to deal with that issue. We needed larger kitchen and dining for our commercial kitchen, but we also have a couple of native kitchens to be able to cook the food and conduct gatherings. We really, really wanted a sauna, but we just couldn't get around the regulation.
Okay. I was just complaining, you didn't show me the sauna when I was there.
Oh,
I take it back.
Definitely was.
Take it back.
We actually have the sauna incorporated into our initial design, but we just couldn't find a way to get around the regulations. We have an enclosed courtyard for fresh air, chapel or alcove for meditation, tubs versus showers. So in the village, they don't have running water. So a shower is a foreign way to bathe, and so the tubs were a welcome addition. Hallways would be short, if any. Be able to add on, anticipating growth, and needing independence and privacy with the need to build a community that feels like home.
Can you explain why you incorporated a sauna into your plan regarding the cultural?
Ceremonial, it's a way to heal, meditation, it's not just a bath, it's a whole part of your life and custom and tradition and you. It's therapy, it's everything that you would talk about when you go to your therapist. And so our dreams began, and they continued. And this is our layout. As I said, we have mostly one bedroom. This is a double pod. So as you walk in, we have 2 units of nine. Mostly one bedroom. We've got on the end the 2 bedroom units. We've got a community area with our native kitchen. What was really important for us was no hallway. We wanted line of sight no matter where you were. So this is a compact facility that would allow our elders to remain together. And I think when I talk with the nurses that are working on the floor, one of the things that they say is they're used to residents hibernating in their rooms. And I actually was forewarned, because I was new to the nursing home business, I was forewarned that it would be a lot of work to get them out of the room. And what we found is that's not the case for our people. Because they come from a social group, multi-generational, they're spending a lot of time in our community area, and we find it very hard, or more of a challenge for them to go back into their rooms and go to bed.
Do they play bingo?
Actually, I only do it about once a week, because unfortunately we have a lot of our people, we actually, what our people are going to look like, and I think we'll just back the time a little bit, but we really didn't know. There's only 18 beds for a service area that has 26,000 people. So it's super underserved, but it goes back culturally. Everyone takes care of their elders unless there's absolutely no way of doing it. And so we kind of have no way of doing it, people. The people, maybe they've had some brokenness in the family, maybe they have some wandering, or like this lady here, that was just to the point where she talked about in the entrance, it just couldn't, the fear, they couldn't keep her from falling and getting hurt again. So those are who we get, and so we get a lot of people with dementia. I think of the 18 people, we have at least 16 have a primary diagnosis. I think only 17 make their own decisions. There's a lot of guardianships, and so they're locked with magnetic locks. So both sides are locked units. And we have people at various times trying to leave. And of course, you really don't want that at all. One other thing that's really kind of fun is the upper left there is our community room. It's modified a little bit from there. Partially where our home health was going to be, and they changed the plan right at the end. But we do have a community space, and we've done a tremendous amount of training in that area. We've hosted everything from wedding reception for medical director. We had basically a viewing, had somebody lay there, a dead resident in there, the family can have funeral to a point there. We had 6 U.S. senators here in February. Our senator hosted a energy department meeting there, so they brought in all these U.S. senators. That was kind of an interesting group of people. And so it's really used for a lot of different things. It's nice to have our feasts in there, and they're nice in this big area. It's just, again, part of the design, just culturally very important to have that space so you can bring people in.
And all along, our mantra was to be as close to home as possible. And so in October 2015, we were able to open the facility. And I want to give kudos to the elders at KRAS.
Yeah.
And this is right before we left. We were finishing this up on Wednesday before I left, and there it was Wednesday afternoon. Well, like I said, you kind of come into this is our front entry as you come in. It's got offices off to the left and to the right. There's only really 2 offices in there. We're trying to get some green plants and some trees. It's really a big space in there.
And I want to prove that I do work. Okay, right?
I was taking a picture, so I was working too.
Looking out the window.
Actually, wait for a second. Those administrators kind of appreciate that. You come up to the building, and there's not a single car in the parking lot. Because hardly anybody drives in Bethel, because there's not a lot of cars in San Antonio. It's very expensive to have a car, so people come in taxi. And so it's still, even after a few years, it's still...
But we have the most taxis in the country.
I was going to say.
Because of our villages, we are a hub, so people come in, and they're coming in and they hop in a taxi to get to the hospital. So when you first come into our building, there's a big alcove and a very nice painting that depicts the life of our people, depicting the different areas of our region. So here is someone on the coast. Here is someone who's kind of married, or other married people who do the same thing. And the beautiful swan in the sky. Fishermen and then a lady taking care of her game. So this is our people. This is our season. This is the different regions. So it symbolically represents all kinds of different things.
And I think it's real important when you're getting the designing. They want space like this that really fits family that because, again, a lot of these families have never been to Bethel. We have people that don't come and see their loved ones because of transportation issues for months and months at a time. Maybe they're new. And when kind of the tradition really is, you're from the village, you stop in at the elders' home to see if there's any elders from your village there. Because you know when you get back home, they're going to say, why don't you go and stop and see? And so we get a lot of people that really, I think, they look at that and really sets them at peace, makes them feel better than people.
So this is when you walk into one of the pods, again, line of sight, rooms all the way around. And then this is our native kitchen that we'll have a better view of here.
Yeah, again, it's so nice, double room square in the far right-hand corner. They have it really nicely set up with have a TV viewing room. Staff members kind of standing there. That's kind of a living room, and people kind of sitting there.
Actually, they were playing a game. They were having an activity.
And then to the far right there is a dining area for that. People generally stay in that area for their meals.
This is our native kitchen. And again, we have 2 pots of dining, and each pot has their own native.
That's really nice. We have actually a commercial rated hood there, so we can cook and keep in compliant with the rules and everything. Just a home style. It's a very nice home style stove there. You can't see it. On the other side of there's a regular, high temperature commercial dishwasher. Families have come in and used it some. Probably not as much because it's kind of hard to believe we have something this nice. It's going to be kind of more word of mouth. But this is primarily what that gets used for. You can just see it's a nice.
So activities, allowing our people to interact with their native foods that, are prepared and preferred by our people. And I have to share a story. A few weeks ago, I was working on a Saturday, and, I was asked to come in, and it was about lunchtime, and everybody's lasagna was pushed to the side because the family, well, not even a family, she wasn't even related to any of them. She, was gifted a chunk of moose meat from the first catch of a young boy, that was turned into soup, some Eskimo ice cream and fish was brought in, and, the residents pushed away their very good lasagna and ate the moose soup, the fried bread, their agouti, and their fish. And I have to add that we had a couple of residents that didn't want to eat, but, our, CNAs just asked them to taste the broth.
What's the Eskimo ice cream made out of?
That's more typically with animal fat and berries and sugar, but now is made mostly of Crisco, berries and sugar. And since I've been there, I've been asking Gerald to incorporate fish, which cuts down the Crisco as protein and amino acids and other yummy stuff, which I think is a better alternative than our supplements that get pushed to people that aren't eating, and they prefer it. So our facility allows for family members to come and celebrate birthday. They were celebrating through it, yeah. And then our community is invited to come in and partake as well.
This is that common room that we're kind of talking about. That's one of our, one of our feasts that we had.
Yeah. So families come in and they can eat with their loved ones, and just hang out, which is what a lot of our residents enjoy. But we also have some technology that allows our residents to connect with their families' abilities.
And to me, that was one of the surprising things from being there. High definition video teleconferencing equipment. And each of the 50 village clinics have the same thing in there. And it, of course, was developed as an infrastructure for telemedicine and things like that. And again, piggybacking into your existing technology that you have as you design for this. And you have a good story.
Yeah, so we had a resident that had first moved in, Parkinson's, hard to hear what he's saying, and we coordinated the family to go to the village clinic, and he's sitting there, and a lot of these guys don't know this technology, so they see their family on TV, and they're like, wow, and so the guy takes the little guy, and he's talking, he's sitting down, and then he stands up, and he's like this close to the TV. And you see him
we give the tour, we come to this one, it's a social service office, and we bring people in here and make them cry.
Yeah. Religion kids are a big component in many of our native lives, and so we invite them to come dance, and here they are singing. The river, as I mentioned, is very important to us, and so one of our activities is to drive down the river and just take a look at the barge, and they may see the boats, and then our elders, enjoying the weather and the river, and that's an activity that they can relate to.
And again, when we talk about traveling, up and down, they go 6 or 8 hours in an open boat like that. It's wet water never gets about 36, 37 degrees, so it is cold. And just go up and down the river. It's incredible. That's the way of life. It's a very glad they have to have water.
Fishing is big as we are on the water. Here they are fishing with line and hook. In the summer, in the winter, it's on the ice, of course. And so we're replicating the things that they did prior to entering our facility in some of our activities that we did. Again, fishing, very big. So here is one of our residents being afforded the opportunity to mend a net, because that was his life before.
Oh, that's nice.
Great.
So I came on board and I was like, hey, Gerald, these guys are, fishing is big here. If you get some fish, I'll cut them, and they will enjoy it.
So there's no way we're gonna get him close to the knife. A lot of those people are kind of angry and pretty confused, and this is gonna end up bad. No way. And so she kept working, you know.
I persisted, and I said, Gerald, just get me 4 fish, just get me a few fish. I'll fillet them, and I promise you they will enjoy it. For somebody that knows how to cut fish, watching someone cut fish is just as much of a pleasure. And so Gerald went out and got a few.
I was wrong, and she sure enough brought it.
I think the highlight of the story, though, is we had a resident that didn't talk to me very much. I didn't know him very well. But through this activity, he asked me how I learned how to cut fish, whether my husband gets fish, and whether I cut them. And we were able to have a conversation, and this was in June. Last week, he asked me if I was still cutting fish. And so I said, I'm taking a break because I'm not going to tell him that I'm not. I'm taking a break because it's winter.
Therapeutic fibbing. That's it. I'm excited.
Secret family recipe, and bake those fish off, and it was all in the library. It was 20 pounds of fish, 18 people per hour.
Yeah, so we gave them the opportunity to choose between fish soup or baked fish. They chose the baked fish, and all done.
All done. Kind of get asshole color. Mine here, one of our residents, actually the same one that was talking to you. His family, National Wildlife, has a really small museum there with a lot of stuffed animals, and we bring up the elders up there, and it's just fascinating to listen to them talk about all the animals that they've caught. They've done this, there was a skin thing, it was that. But I had one time that was that's a huge version of whatever that animal was. And so to me, that's just fascinating, and it really connects them. They hand out some posters, and he still has those posters on the wall, and that was a while ago we got him in there. 14, we bring them different groups back through there, but again, having that resource, using that to connect them, because we can't take them out in the wild and see all that animals.
Traditional dance is very big in our region, and whether they come in or whether we bring them to a festival, they watch. And you can see one of our residents, look at how much he's enjoying, and we're incorporating them into a part of the community, and then their family joins up with them later. And then they're given an opportunity to meet other cultures as well. Gerald has a nice story about that.
And that was, again, this is when I first came down. It's our first is Chamai. It means welcome, right?
Yes.
And it's a dance festival. They have international. It's a big event. And so we brought this resident down there, and I know those dancers, and went back there and I said, hey, here's Pius. And they just treated him like a king, and he knew all of them, and they give hugs, and then we got a picture like that. And that culture of remembering the elders and respecting them, and frankly, some of you guys aren't as much younger than me, but it's still that respect that you see. And for that, like whenever we go out in the community to the Chamai, there's no questions asked. They sit right up in front. People move out of your way. Like the Chamai is a big thing. They have a big native kind of a feast for everybody. Again, people get to go through first. It's culturally, it's not even. Of course, you wouldn't let the elder person wait in line. You don't do it. It's just, to me, it's just amazing. We need to help do that.
Religion is big in our culture as well. A higher power, higher authority, and so church, whether someone comes in and sings, or whether we have a Russian Orthodox that comes in and celebrates Slavic. And being a part of a veteran or a part of the military is a great honor, and so they are incorporated into our local parade, and is also the VFW in turn with another organization puts together a kind of a patriotic quilt that our residents are honored with.
And kind of again, back to the resources in the community, it's the people from a halfway house. They're trying to get their life back on track, and it's really kind of nice. The person that does a lot of the sewing and stuff like that is really involved with the VFW. So we have the women there, and they're around to have bring them down. This one they gave here, but normally during Veterans Day, ceremony, they present the quilts to the veterans. Again, that honor, respect. Here's a whole, this is, public. This is a high school gym full of high school kids. And they're all quiet, and they're respectful, and they're sitting there, and the band plays, and I've never seen such a honoring of the veterans. It's really, really heartwarming.
So, the importance of strong tribal nursing homes for the residents, for the families, for the community, for the culture, ensuring that the culture and its strengths continue through the facility, activities of the home, and life within, that the residents are as close to home as possible, pursuing the vision of the home in the community where tradition, culture, and values, and medicine. And so,
But this is another smaller village?
yeah, this is enough, yeah. So, as we started with the story, I conclude with the story. Julia, wiping her face, says, "We feel very lucky to have been accepted here. What would we do? I'd have to think about sending her away. I wouldn't be able to go."
I wouldn't be able to go with her because of my kids are here, and they also need me. And so she didn't have to split it. That's the thing that's probably the toughest part of being there, having to make decisions of who gets to come in, because we're such a waiting list. I mean, youth safety is our top priority. Who's the most unsafe? And it's really a change for me from market-based operations to who's the most unsafe, and to do that because there's going to be somebody like that. And it's really kind of tough to get from out of that community, especially up there, because you just can't get anybody there. The language is very unique. There's not a lot of people, and so you get into these other nursing homes and they're not going to hear that. From the dementia training today, that's one of the first things with your second language, your English will go, revert back.
Yes.
I don't know how many times it's been so nice, especially speaks to you, to kind of calm people down at times.
And our CNAs are mostly bilingual, and so it's incorporated from the beginning to the end. Any questions?
I apologize for going so long.
Are you guys looking?
We're really proud of it.
Yeah.
We're really proud of it.
That's right. Is there any discussion about adding beds? I know you mentioned part of the design was sort of to be able to add, and I don't know.
Right. So we have the ability to add another 18 beds. Our company is currently in the process of adding onto our hospital, and so we don't anticipate any discussions or thoughts about adding to the long-term care facility for a while. I would say at least 5 years.
The numbers are there. I think now that we're open, we can really see, and that's why we're really, like I said, today, and even last year was the same thing, listening to community-based services. We need to bring that back into our region so that we can keep that up, because I think people thought that just having a nursing home then put that in the done list, we're done with that, but we're just not big enough. And I know culture up, I think a bigger building, I think we could buy a couple more pods, but they wouldn't like 100-bed nursing home. No. That just would not work. So we need it small, we need it like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to move through our business meeting fairly quickly. I think we can do that. It's okay. I mean, I don't want to keep everyone over because I know we've all had a long day. There is a presentation tomorrow. So at the conference, I believe U.N.I.T.E is presenting from 1:30 to 3 tomorrow. Joseph Ray, Val Krill, and myself are presenting from 3:30 to 5 on the importance of strong tribal nursing homes, which is why I was taking a few notes up here to add to my talk. So I hope you will all attend that tomorrow.
Debbie, I'm wondering if I may step away for your business meeting so you guys can talk freely and open. Again, there's two parts to the group, right? There's an advocacy piece and a coming together piece. So I'll absent myself so you guys are free to talk, and probably Shelley, you should do the same. So the feds will watch, because I think that's important.
I always forget I'm a fed.
That this be a place for you guys. I did want to mention one thing before, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't. There is in the Nashville area of the IHS, which is the off region that I actually work out of, they run a program called Trans Am. Has anybody heard of Trans Am?
No.
So Trans Am is national in scope, even though it's based in Nashville. It gets excess supplies from DOD and from VA, mostly DOD really, that then they can distribute to the tribes and tribal programs, federal programs too, but primarily tribal programs. And, you know, hospital beds, lifts, you know, all sorts of durable equipment. I mean, just it's called Trans Am. Yeah.
You shared the information.
I'll send it to Debbie, and I want you guys to take a look at it. There's a website, and you can go shopping. And basically, you get they will ship anywhere. And sometimes they do allow, or sometimes they don't have the stuff. They can amend it. There may be something excessed in Alaska they can ship to you guys. So I wanted to mention, and Debbie, I'll try to remember to email it, but if I don't,
I'll put a note.
bug me and I'll send it to you. But that was on my, I wanted to make sure you guys knew about that.
Thank you.
And it's a great group of people who run it too. They're really nice folks. So you can pick up the phone and call them if you got
It's the IHS.
Like,
It's through IHS.
it's through IHS, and it's not like don't get this idea it's this huge order. I mean, it's Riley Grinnell. It's just a couple of guys running this warehouse, and their interest is in getting this equipment to tribes. So check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you all for.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bye, everyone.
No, I'm sorry I became upset, so I have to leave.
We have a few points to cover, but I'm going to give Jonathan the floor right now to talk about our website. Both the, it's tribalnursinghomes.weebly, WEEBLY.com. That was set up by our IT manager at Archie Hendricks. And so all of anything I post when I send something out to the listserv, tell you, that comes to our website. So all those postings are right there. We also have a Google Calendar, so I'm going to start putting like our meeting time on there. So if you forget anything, just go to our tribal nursing home website, and it's right there for you. Remember how to do it. All right. All the way down. Okay. Almost halfway through. Okay.
You want the rest from the toilet?
So what I'm going to share with everybody is the current nursing home collaborative website that we have created in collaboration with our CMS contract. So the way to get to that is to go through CMS.gov, then you click on the Outreach and Education tab, and then you click on, American Indian Life Canadian.
Yep.
And then you go over to Long-Term Services and Support Technical Assistance Center. How many people are familiar with the Technical Assistance Center?
That's Archie Hendricks.
Staff. So we developed the Technical Assistance Center probably about a year or so ago, and the LTSS Technical Assistance Center is a comprehensive resource that offers information and resources for tribal communities looking to create or enhance their own LTSS programs. You can find detailed planning steps on the site, funding source information, examples of successful LTSS programs, and a lot more. The information on the TA Center was designed specifically for the unique strengths of tribal communities, and it was actually recently redesigned based on input that we got from Title VI directors and other tribal forums. So once you get to the LTSS website, you can scroll down. There are many other sections. You can look at webinars, you can look at the planning and evaluation, the state and federal relationships if you're looking for information on that. But if you continue to scroll down, you find the tribal nursing home section. Yeah. I think it launched in October.
Yeah.
So it's still in the development phases, and we're still adding things to the collaborative site. But what you'll find housed on the site, what we consider this site is more of a repository of information for U.N.I.T.E. And the purpose of the section is to provide support to U.N.I.T.E. efforts. And U.N.I.T.E, if you see here, there's a link to U.N.I.T.E's actual website, and we're not trying to take away from the information that's housed on the U.N.I.T.E website. We're just trying to add sort of an additional resource for people that are looking for information on U.N.I.T.E. So KAI provides support for the monthly conference calls, and the conference calls are not open to the public. They're only open to members of the collaborative, and the conference calls are recorded and housed on the YouTube channel, specifically for U.N.I.T.E. And right now, there's currently only one call housed on there. But in the future, click on here, it'll be listed to the conference calls, and you can, the transcripts from this call will be recorded and housed on the site. Also, there is an overview of the travel nursing homes and a directory of the travel nursing homes, which we just recently updated.
And that's the one that's in your folder. That's the one you have.
Also housed is the best practices for travel nursing homes, which is compiled quarterly. We're actually in the phase now of writing the first best practices, which will be done in December. So I actually will probably be reaching out to several of you to be interviewed on traditional foods in nursing homes. Right now, Julie and I are trying to narrow down the list of people that we want to interview to find out what's working, what's been successful, and yeah, that'll be housed on this site.
So let me just say one word about that. So Julie President that Jonathan works with called, and so every quarter, so it's going to be December of this year, March, June, September, and December of next year. They'll put together basically, based on our work, based on our calls, based on the topics we select for next year, they'll put together a best practice paper for tribal nursing homes. This is really cool. This is what we talked about last year about doing. We're actually doing it within 12 months, which is, I think, pretty amazing, actually. And so Julie wants, for the December quarterly report, she wants to get our feedback from what we've done this past year on traditional foods. So she forwarded a set of questions, and I gave her some people to call to talk to. But yesterday, Val and Joseph Ray and Lisa and I kind of went through the questions she sent, and we kind of narrowed them down a little bit, gave her some feedback on that. So some of you will be contacted.
Yeah. We made it.
Good.
We're ready to conduct our interview.
Good.
Also on here, you'll find the LTSS webinars that are from previous iterations of the contract. So with this,
and let me say a word about that too, just to remind everyone. So these are the webinars that are always the fourth Wednesday of the month. So the way we've been structuring our meeting is that you have that webinar the fourth Wednesday of every month, okay? Then the second Monday of the month, we try to have our steering committee call, and about 10 or 12 of you are actually on the steering committee, okay? Then the very next day, the second Tuesday of the month, is when they have the TTAG call, the Tribal Technical Advisory call. Right now, I'm the only one on that. We had Courtney Williams last year, but she just left. So if there's anyone here who would like to be on that call that's actually working in a tribal nursing home, like that would be great. And then so we have the webinar, then our steering committee, the TTAG call, and then always the third Thursday of the month is when we had our actual monthly meeting. So we tried to kind of space things out during the month so it wasn't all hitting at the same time. So kind of be thinking about that because we're going to have to decide if that's what we want to do continuing to move forward.
And the only other thing I want to add is that we have the ability to edit the site and make it what we want. So we have a lot of flexibility, and we plan on adding more resources. We plan on adding more visuals to make it more visually appealing. So just kind of bear with us as we work through it. We look forward to getting everyone's input on what to do in the future.
And those, by the way, I want to thank all of you. Val sent some pictures for this website, but also those of you who are on these webinars. So we hosted one in May, and we hosted one in July, and Val, was it the director of nursing, Helen, at your facility that jumped in at the last minute?
Right, we were just very pushing it.
We were at the webinar was starting, and Joseph was having trouble connecting, and so Val's grabbing his director of nursing saying, come on, you can do this. She read off the script and took Joseph's place on that call. Yeah, no. Anyway, we've had, 2 webinars that we posted this year. Thank you very much for all your work. Okay, so let's finish up here. I did want to mention that thanks to Lisa, we had a survey. 9 of you did complete the survey. Thank you for doing that. There were a few comments, not a lot. A couple of people said, we should do a little more education with the community. What we did this past year was pick kind of a topic for the year, so we went with traditional foods. But someone suggested we maybe have like a more clinical topic and then kind of a non-clinical topic. So we need to make a decision about that now and decide what topic we want to pick for the coming year. So the ones we surveyed everyone on were board education. That actually came in 4th place, but again, remember there were 9 people that completed this. Staffing, like screening of new hires, federal, tribal watch list, politics of hiring and firing, that came in 4th place, the 5th, 4th. The next one was staffing, how to encourage youth to stay, study, work in the community, kind of engaging the community into this whole idea of the nursing home. And then relationships, tribal leadership, nursing home administrators, long-term care ombudsman, board of directors, how can everyone kind of get along, understand each other's roles. So that came in 2nd place. And then the 1st place one was dementia care, culturally sensitive training and resources for tribal nursing homes. So I'm just going to make a suggestion, but you guys you can do whatever you want to. It's your collaborative.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe for the clinical piece of it, we can take on the topic of dementia and maybe some short pieces of that. So we would probably break it down like quarters, so we do some work on a piece of dementia and then report out on the best practice, quarterly report is what I'm thinking. As far as a non-clinical piece, I'm wondering if the one that rated pretty high on relationships, kind of relationships with tribal leadership, relationships, with community, and that's where we could maybe get into a little bit of the community issue. So I'd like just a little bit of conversation on that. What do you guys think as far as how do you want to work our topic for 2017?
I second.
Right, okay.
Or do I make a motion first?
Yeah. We're not going to use Robert's order. We're not real organized that way, so I'm not going to worry too much about that.
All right.
Does anyone have any strong feelings one way or the other on what topic we kind of work on and talk about and think about for 2017? So we're talking about maybe dementia as one. Parts of that we can't just, have to pick pieces of that. And then the other one would be like tribal relationships, like working with our leadership, working with our board and stuff. So what do you guys think about that? Do you good with those two, or would you like to do more with maybe like the hiring, firing, staffing piece of it, and getting the young people engaged? Okay. Yeah.
Different issue from the concerning, talk about sundowning.
Yeah. Right, but those are the
I'm just saying, when we have to take elders to eat.
Yeah.
They don't have a marker to something. Now, it's going just for
Yeah.
interesting challenges training or
Well, that might be a good topic, is that dementia challenges specific to, like, and Brenda, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I'm just listening. I said that's amazing. We never think about those types of situations. I just read something last week that was talking about like using lighting and blinds and stuff in there, where it was just for like at home type situations, but having fighting that came on gradually to kind of trick you into thinking, well, his time, you know, and right, and then it's the same type of thing in the evening where it automatically dims at a certain time, gradually kind of help get people, you know, in the that don't get it. So I don't know, that's probably interesting.
So does anyone else have any thoughts on that? I mean, yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm willing to offer my services to help with the clinical piece, if you're going to focus on dementia. Being that I have implemented some kind of quality measures and some, what I hope and consider are some potential best practices at my facility, in the memory care unit anyways, to kind of help as standard templates and things like that to help guide, you know, staff in management and assessment and dementia. So if you want, you know, my help with that, then
I think things like that, tangible tools.
yes.
Yeah, I would say
That's the word. Those are the words
tangible tools
that I can't get out.
Okay, it's okay.
What she said.
Like here, but 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so
all over it. I'm like, not enough diet Pepsi.
So we might break it down with assessment and then management, and under assessment could be some of those tangible tools. I mean, we can break this, we don't have to do this all tonight. I just want to get just an overall feel. Are we all on the same page with having a little bit of and Lisa and I talked about maybe having like a speaker, like could be the speaker on our call, or on our calls maybe just invite people to come and talk about it.
Well, I think in facilities too, like one of the first things I did was, it was behavior management and assessment. And one of the first things I did was create a list of, when this happens, this is all the information that you need to think about and find out and ask the questions about when there's a behavior. And that's one of the first things that I can share. Like, here's everything you need to find out before you ever call me. And do you know what I mean? So, yeah, well, that's a whole different. Like, don't. I'm going there. Don't go there.
I think that would be really good. And so I think, so are we all okay then with doing some assessment management pieces specific to best practices for tribal nursing on dementia? Are we okay with that? Okay, then non-clinical would be the piece on the relationship. So tribal leadership, nursing home administration, long-term care ombudsman. How can everyone get along? How can we understand each other's roles and responsibilities? Do we want to break that down into any specific topics? Anyone have any?
You know, one common theme that came up was being reported. Is how do tribal nursing homes advocate for their residents and whatever with their tribal councils or their tribal government, so that they honor elders and they respect. Oftentimes, having sat through many legislative or council meetings, oftentimes the elder issues are addressed and recognized, but they're kind of then put over and then go to the next subject, like like the casino or something, and which is important. But I would think the advocates, how do you do that properly? What information do you need to put together? How do you present it to the council? And for those of us who've done that, it's an interesting experience.
I just wanted to put one thing, as we're talking about what our goals are going to be for the year. A quality improvement person, so I'm looking to see, did we actually improve? Did we affect any change? So I don't know if it may just be something at the end of the year we just reflect back and were we able to make some changes.
You could do that with the clinical piece, but I think, so I could help with that. That could be part of the call with the clinical piece on how to work with that, not so much with the non-clinical.
Right. I think it lends itself better. Absolutely. But I do think it's worth looking back at the end of the year and saying how did we achieve these goals.
Did you ever introduce to them the behavioral expressions program? Because Debbie,
so in our tribal nursing home, we have a interdisciplinary team.
Oh, you're good. You come on,
Does anyone need extra tea, another drink, anything?
The thermostat. Down. Yeah, it is. He's like, no, we tried that. We can't do it. He's like, I've been purple all day. Yep. We have first time you've even seen what they look like. Hi. The sauna in here.
Okay, all ready.
It's like you like a movie.
It hurts my nails, yes.
So we had an interdisciplinary, team. If one of our residents had like behaviors like what you're talking about, we would do a behavioral settlement. We just did an actual assessment for that and embedded it in our electronic health record. I mean, it worked really well at our facility, but it takes a lot of training. There's a lot of...
Yeah, and it has to be administratively supported.
I had that.
But it was very grassroots. It was a very grassroots effort that we did that so that the staff were very involved in making those decisions. Like, one of the things that came up was our MDS coordinator at one point was like freaking out because she said, you know, like, you're changing, like, right now everything flows through without her ever having to do anything, you know, it's like, so we started changing that, and she was kind of stressing out, and I didn't even, if she had not been involved in that group, we wouldn't have known that. So, I mean, I think that's the part about understanding everyone's rules, not only out, but also within. Like, how does this all work together?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we could do the outcomes with the clinical piece. I think that would lend itself really well. So are we all okay then with working on relationships then, like Lee's talking about, you know, presenting some examples?
What do you want to ask?
Okay with that for the coming year? Okay. We can break that down a little bit. I just kind of moved through this. What do you think?
No, I agree. The relationship piece is going to have to be a little bit more ironed out.
Yeah.
It's just a kind of general statement.
So possibly, if we could have a call, maybe you, like, the QIO people, maybe we could flesh that out a little bit more so we know kind of what we exactly flesh it out.
Flesh it out, not flush it out.
If we
knew what you
I knew.
If we could have maybe a subcommittee, Joseph, would you be willing to be on that? Just like a one meeting to kind of talk about that. That's like, okay. So it is a little more. So that would be good. Is everyone okay with the current schedule? Would you like to change the times we meet by phone? Any of that? Anyone have strong feelings? Does the third Thursday work for you? The second Monday on the steering committee call? Are we okay on that?
Is everybody okay with the dates that we're looking for, that we've been meeting? Debbie was just asking if everyone's fine with the schedule that we've been on.
Thursday's the TCAB one?
No, so the long-term and support service webinar is always the fourth Wednesday of the month. Then the second Wednesday is the second Monday is the steering call.
And
second Tuesday is the TTAG call, and then the third Thursday is our normal meeting.
And this all goes out on email. It's never calendar.
You know what? It needs to be our Google Calendar. Is embedded. Our Google Calendar is embedded on our website. So we need to start putting these meetings on the Google Calendar so that you guys can just go to, you know, tribalnursinghomes.weebly.com, boom, there it is for you. So, but we've been sending out emails that you should get. They go to TREACH. Even though that was our original name before U.N.I.T.E, and the reason we kept that is because my IT manager said he wasn't sure what would happen if we tried to change that name.
I need to somehow get a smart IT person to link this to my...
Yeah, so you
it goes to events in my...
Yeah, to get that, so this is a Google listserv, so you don't have to have a Google email necessarily, but you've got to accept
It doesn't go to your Outlook calendar.
That's what I needed.
I need it. What you'll be able to do is open the file. So the file says, you know, U.N.I.T.E, and within that group, there's like all these different files. Like it'll say meeting minutes, steering committee minutes, you know, KAI information. So all that stuff, when I put it in there, once you accept that, you can all see that. That's we're sharing this file of information. That's the idea. So if that's not working for you, you gotta let me know or see. So I think
So you put it on your calendar.
Yeah, there must be a way.
I could probably send a separate email aside from Debbie.
I think a calendar to invite, I know, I use my calendar.
You need to get it.
Yeah.
There's gotta be an easier way, right?
The Outlook.
There must be an easier way. I think you could link it some way.
And then I'll send it to the.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have to.
Okay,
So I'm not the only one.
that's really important that all this information is getting out to everyone. If you're not seeing those files with all the documents inside them, I need to know.
Well, that's why I told you that I just feel so dumb.
And I'm not so big. I only know what I know because we have a nice manager that's very good, so that helps.
Your struggle is real.
We have the new collaborative members. Please don't forget. Please fill this out before you leave. We are going to send these out to people who are currently not on these calls. So we've been working really hard to reach out. So this is one way we can do it. And then don't forget, this is filled out and given to the person on your right before you leave. Okay. We need to take our picture and confirm the next time of our annual meeting. So what time would you guys, when would you like to have our next annual meeting? Does anyone know if this conference is going to happen next year?
Not done every year.
Not every year.
Every other year?
Like 3 years.
Every 2 years, I think it is.
I don't know if you all realize this, but Cynthia LaTown, ACL, they actually paid for 2 of our presenters to come here. So that was a nice thing that they offered. Plus, there was no cost to the conference, which was really helpful.
Does one of these need to go to her?
You can send it to Cynthia. Put her name on there.
No, I'm just saying.
So, does anyone have any strong feelings because about 1 month or another, do you want to mention what you said in the last bit that you did? There was something in August. So what was that we talked about in August for a meeting? Please. What was that we talked about in August for a meeting?
We'll do the same to her.
In August. So, does anyone have a strong feeling about a conference that we could, like, this is perfect, but it's not every year.
To the right.
Something
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
About that. Something like this in the beginning of this conference would be nice. I didn't know anybody other than Melissa, but I feel like tomorrow I should come and say hi to you. We're
do it.
yeah.
Do it.
I don't know.
No, not quite.
Every other year.
Okay, I'll do that.
Whatever this conference is for 2 years from now.
No, and then I think something interested is how will the collaborative want to participate?
Numerically to some.
I'm wondering, Brandella, if we could set up another call to talk about that, because originally we were talking about having this meeting with the NITELA conference in Niagara Falls, but then when we heard about this, we thought it just made a little more sense. But Brandella's been very gracious to say our collaborative welcome to meet as part of it.
Our next meeting will be in June, I believe, in, back east, though. Then we have a fall, annual fall.
Maybe we could do, because, I mean, June, we're not really going to be done with what we've set out there, too. So probably a later fall one would be better. Does anyone have any strong feelings about maybe approaching NCAI and being part of that, of having our meeting and maybe...
Is there something that goes on in there that we can,
Well, again, or we have our aging conference in August.
Aging conference, when's that coming up, May? What? The aging conference? Arizona has Arizona, the ICOLA conference, the aging, and that's when it's coming up.
You know, part of my, position with NCAI, we have access to.
2017.
Well,
I didn't vote on it.
I feel Arizona done that well in California. You know what I like about NCAI? Okay, we're gonna finish up here. What I like about NCAI is that we're talking about our goal for the year, our non-clinical goal is to work with tribal leadership. So what better place to be meeting is with, at NCAI? I mean, that would, to me, that would, what do you guys think?
It's expensive, and they make you pay.
yeah.
They do.
Joseph, do you want to
He
make
gets better than NIH.
I think it's a great thing to be with, NCAI, but you should put a budget, accept the cost to
I
go.
think we should put together a budget. I think though, if we present in a proper manner to our regional tribal organizations, that they will be willing to finance our attendance at NCAI.
That'd be awesome.
We've tried that, and we're a subcommittee member, and they won't pay that for COA, so you guys might have greater goals.
Yeah.
So, I know you said the email that they're meeting next month for the presidential transition, so, is there meeting again next year?
Yeah, I guess the best thing would be is if anybody knows anybody in their leadership structure, and if not, someone representing this group, get in touch with whoever. I mean, I can find out who's the best person.
So I think if we can, maybe Debbie, if we may, ask folks to do some research between now and our, December call.
Okay.
And then give a list of options for us to vote on.
Okay.
Before our December call.
I want to know more about ICOA and everything.
Okay, so I would, that's a good idea. So our December call is December 17th. Is that the Thursday? I'm pretty sure it's December 17th, because the 1st is a Thursday, so the 8th, the 15th, right?
We're trying to figure out.
Okay, the 15th is our next call, so it's noon Arizona time on December 15th. So, I'm gonna put this in the minutes, if we can, have it, if everyone could, so, maybe Chuck and Lee, and just, have some information for that call to see if we could, you know, so we can kind of make some decisions about our annual meetings for next year. I think possibly NCI, possibly, you said National.
John's worked for NHB.
Yes, he used to.
Right. Right. So maybe
really?
speak to John and ask him who you think he thinks.
It might be Stacy Boland.
Yeah, it might be.
Stacy.
Maybe you can go to you can come up to Anchorage during the Alaska Federation of Nations Elders Youth Conference.
That would be great.
There you go.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what is that? Alaska Federation
Of Natives in the Elders and Youth Conference, hosted by First Alaskan Institute. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Okay, so we've got some good options here. So let's you know, put those on the board, think about them, and maybe we can make a decision. I just think the earlier we do this, the better, and then we can plan for it. So. Okay, those are all good options. And I guess the last thing, Lee, did you want to make a quick comment about funding?
Oh, well, I mentioned when we went around the table, but I told Debbie that she and I can put our heads together and see if we can find an organization or foundation or entity that might be supportive of funding this group with sort of like seed money. We'll see what we can find.
Right. And if you remember last year, we actually, remember you all signed that letter that we're at this meeting? We tried to get money through the Johnny Hartford Foundation. We wrote that all out. And Val, you had said you have some grant writers that could help us also.
Yeah, we've got grant writers.
Okay. Does anyone else here have access to grant writers or grant writing skills that we could tap into?
Blake does that a lot.
Yeah.
I wish.
I would talk to Cynthia, because she just discovered a group that came into one of our meetings, and they do pay for that type of service. So talk to Cynthia.
Okay.
And it's under HHS.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So
one thing we're taking a group picture, and that might be late.
So everyone get your cameras out.
Are you looking for your best luck?
Hold on, let me put.
Let me see.
That's what she takes the pictures for.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm really gonna.
We're not gonna do
Your lips look much better now.
That's what we should do.
It's a bad trip to do stuff. Did anyone have anything else they'd like to add before we finish for tonight? Did anyone have anything else to say?
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe against that wall.
I don't want to know who's from.
To remain anonymous. I'm an anonymous donor. I'm gonna take a picture of that. It's gonna get posted later.
I think in here is where.
That is real.
I'm in front of you. Did you once come for a tour of Archie Hendricks a long time ago?
I'm just now remembering.
Me too. Yeah, because I'm looking at towards the science, and you're going to build a nursing home. There were like 6 or 7 of you, including maybe architects in some place.
Yeah, we had Dr. Domer.
Yeah, and another lady who kept in touch with me for a little while. She was covering. I can't remember her name. She emailed me back and forth for a very long time.
Is anybody on the phone?
She disappeared.
Under bio,
Yeah, which